All right, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Give us a minute here. We're going to click on the radio and away we go.
3, 2, 1.
And now for Pucks and Pints. Brought to you by Jimmy's Sports Lounge in Kingston, Ontario.
He shoots and scores. A greatest goal scorer in National Hockey League history. It's Wayne Gretzky.
It's hockey time. Here are your hosts, the Big B, Coach K, and Bacon.
The waiting is over. You believe in miracles? Yes!
And now for Pucks and Pints.
I love how you always have a napkin. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show. My name's Coach K. Welcome to Pucks and Pints Radio. Things are getting closer. Things are getting tighter. And we're going to talk about it tonight. I'm going to remain mostly quiet until I address my elephant in the I'm sick of you all texting me. I'm sick of you all calling me. And I'll tell you what I feel about it just a little bit later. But until then, the Big B is here from Queens, New York.
Does that mean we have to go really, really quick in through the playoffs, spend about 15 minutes so you can spend the rest of the show talking about your elephant in the room?
I wouldn't do that to you.
I was going to say,
I've been rehearsing it all day, and I think I can condense it into 5 minutes. I think.
Big elephant, big room.
Yeah, I don't think
5 minutes is going to do it.
I don't think you can condense it into 5 minutes, and because of that, I think we need to know what we're drinking, because we're all going to need drinks listening to you go on and on about the elephant in the room. So let me throw it back up to Windsor and the master of all things craft beer, Bacon, so he can tell us what we're drinking.
By the way, he's wearing a Frank's Brewery hat, and I don't think they're our major sponsor. But anyway.
I don't have a post-game brewing or a locker room lager hat. Hint, hint, hint. But I would love one. I'm going to start, before I show you what I'm drinking, I'm going to show you something I drank last night, Big B. It's just it's an American Pale Ale, but it is the coolest can I think I've come across yet.
Hang on. We got solo here. Now that is cool.
That
was the side of the can. It was a beer called Naughty Neighbor, and it's just an American Pale Ale inspired type beer. But I saw the can and I thought, that's got to be one of the coolest cans that I've come across yet.
Are you saving these like on a wall?
Okay, so if you've noticed in past weeks, the spot behind me was stairs.
Yeah.
I put drywall up, and I have a locker room lager tin sign that I won a few years ago in a contest, which I found and didn't even realize I had. So what I'm planning on doing is putting all those cans on the wall.
Nice.
So it'll be behind me and I've got, so in the early days of the show, I didn't have a book.
Can we vote on the cans that we want on the wall?
I'm going to put them all on there.
Okay.
I've got tons. They're all sitting around in a box over there.
So I have a question.
You're going to need before his question, you're going to need a bigger house.
Yes. And maybe an intervention.
So this pale ale that you drank yesterday, did it taste like raspberries and tree bark?
It did not. It did not. It tasted like a standard pale ale. And then the one I had later on after that was a black currant something or other that was red and Yeah, it was good.
Tasted like black currants and
It did, and pomegranate.
chrysanthemums. Yes. Okay.
Do you realize that raspberries and tree bark could be a show name somewhere else?
It could. It'd actually probably be a decent beer too.
Yeah.
But so much like in Big B fashion, I have a book, and this book was given to me by my daughter for Christmas, and it is a beer journal.
Ooh.
And every beer that I've had on the show, I write in this book.
Yeah.
And give it a rating, and that way, if I ever want to go back to it, I can go back to it and find it and that sort of thing.
And when your doctor tells you have sclerosis,
yeah, I can go back and say this one caused it. So tonight's sampling, I've got a bunch of stuff in the fridge. I'm just going stuff I've had before. It's a holiday here. I didn't have too much ambition. I didn't do anything today. So we got the banana bread beer again. And then, as always, I've got our locker room lager. Now, I'm going to point out, this was the can that we started with at the beginning of our show when they helped us out and sponsored us.
Yeah.
They rebranded
Oh,
into the can on the, I guess it'll be on your right.
hang on. Let's bring that up.
There you go.
Yeah. So the hockey jersey is the old one.
We need a new poster.
Yeah. So I reached out and I'm waiting to hear back from my guy to see if he's got any, marketing stuff I can throw on the wall behind me or any of that kind of stuff. Little bit different as far as the can goes. I noticed a couple other differences on the can that I'm waiting for some clarification on just to see, before I say anything, but the beer tastes the same. So that's the main thing. So yeah, I've got a couple of these in the wings as well.
Can you do me a favor?
How did you feel today when Canada shit the bed and lost?
I actually just saw the score about 10 minutes ago, and I couldn't believe they lost. So
Norway.
Yeah. I mean, not to say Norway's a bad team, but we shouldn't be losing.
I can't imagine the Americans have ever lost to Norway.
I'm sure we've lost some bad games, so it maybe Norway's one of them. I don't know.
No. All right, guys, here we go. I'm about to be humbled, which is very rare.
16 teams enter and only one survives. It's time for the race to the cup.
I have no idea what's going on this year. I have no concept of hockey reality anymore. Do I dare say I think the Florida Panthers are going to win in 5? It's beyond my conception of how this team is winning hockey games. It's beyond reality of how Bobrovsky is actually living up to his salary and may be the Conn Smythe winner.
155 shots in 3 games, 150 saves.
I refuse to admit they may win the Stanley Cup. And then we got Vegas and Dallas. That's like a dog fight. It's gone 1 goal either way, and I still think Dallas, when they go back home, I just don't know. Guys, I'll throw it over to you.
Dallas had that game yesterday if it wasn't for a bad turnover with 2 minutes left in the third period. They had that game. So that's a pretty even game. All 4 games actually have gone to overtime, which is crazy. But I think the Dallas-Vegas series might be much closer than the Panthers-Hurricanes series. I think I called Florida in 7, maybe.
Yep. You had Florida in 7. I had Florida in 6. Ken had Carolina in 5.
Well,
he's maybe having a change of heart.
It may not go 7.
I'm being honest with you. I'm humbling myself tonight.
I mean, you're pulling out 2 overtime wins on the road, so now you home ice advantage and all the momentum is on the Florida Panthers side. I don't know how Carolina comes back from this, but Boston's playing out of his mind, and neither Ronta nor Anderson are going to match that at this moment in time.
Is this LA 2014 2.1? I don't know.
Well, it's I don't know. Again, I'm going back to just saying what I said a couple weeks ago when it started. I hope they go all the way so we can say we lost to the best. Whether they're the best or not, truly remains to be seen. But I'm a strong proponent that if you're going to lose, at least you lose to the team that goes all the way and wins. And interestingly enough, while you're on the topic of the overtime wins, there have been 2 players in NHL history to score back-to-back OT winners on the road in the playoffs. Okay? Mm-hmm. Matthew Tkachuk is number 2 in 2023. I'll give you guys a guess at who the other one is. And it's 72 years ago.
72. Can you give me an actual year?
1951.
Not a clue.
Howie Mertz.
Nope. When you hear the name, you're going to be like, oh, well, okay. But Maurice Richard.
The Rocket.
Is the only other player to score back-to-back OT winners on the road in the postseason. So Tkachuk is in some pretty hallowed company for that accomplishment.
And that's the guy you don't like.
Yeah.
You don't like Tkachuk.
No, it's me.
Yes, you don't like. I'm talking to you. You do not like Tkachuk.
I'm eating a humble pie the entire show. Okay? So I am absolutely not going to argue with you at all tonight.
And no, Jolitz, it's not Happy Gilmore.
All right, guys, what do you say? Florida, what do we got? What's the road?
Dude, I still think Florida's got it. I don't know if it's going to go 6. If they keep playing the way they're playing,
yeah,
it'll be less than 6. I think Florida's got this series, but then the flip side of it is where I'm not sure yet. Like I was bummed yesterday. We had a barbecue. I had the game on. I got it blaring in the backyard while I'm cooking. Dallas is up, and then my wife says, "Hey, we ran out of parchment paper. I had to run to the dollar store." While I'm running, I'm listening to it on NHL radio in my car, and they tie it up. And I get home, and okay, cool. OT is going to start, and then boom, Vegas wins. I'm like, you got to be kidding me right now. Like you said, Dallas had that game.
Mm-hmm.
One bad turnover, and then the game was just about over. Wyatt Johnson, had he been able to score that goal, it would have been done. Turns around, goes the other way, game over.
Yep.
I'm going to stick with Dallas. I'm still there.
I'll stick with Dallas too. It's going to be a very close series. The 2-0 series lead isn't an indicator of how that series has gone. I think it's a very close series. It may very well go 7. I mean, those are 2 good teams. Florida, I said 7. I don't think it's maybe 5.
I don't know. Carolina's going to last 4.
You know, I think Carolina is going to get 1 in a lucky win. Is what I think is going to happen.
Like crap.
Oh, they do.
I think Florida wins tonight. They go up 3-0, and then Carolina wins. What's today? Wednesday. To get it to 3-1, they go back to Carolina, and Florida wins.
They steal it on the road, eh?
Yep. And the road teams have been. Remember last year, the home teams.
5,000 people go to Florida and watch the Stanley Cup.
And remember last year, the home teams won like everything. It's a much different year this year in the playoffs, where the road teams are winning a good portion of these games.
Yep. This is the road team season for sure.
Yep.
All right, guys. Why don't we go to Jay Vegas and we'll go right into all the fun stuff.
Buckle up for the elephant in the room.
Jay Vegas, who crap! There's a show tonight. Last I checked, we weren't canceled. Anyway, everybody mute, and we'll head to our good friend Jay Vegas.
Hey everyone, welcome back to a brand new episode of Pucks and Pints Radio, Jay Vegas's Picks of the Week. We were 4 for 4 going into last week. We were kind of heating up. We were really heating up. 4 for 4. And I went 4 for 4 in the second round of the Pucks and Pints playoff pool. You know what? I've mentioned that enough. We're not going to keep going there. I'm going to go 2 for 2 in this round anyway, but we'll see. We took Rupe Hintz last week to get a point. He didn't get a point. And we should have kind of stuck with the whole Vegas theme, but whatever. Listen, we're going to stick with this again. We're going to stay with a player. Like right now we have two teams in the semifinals that are both up 2-0. Vegas is up 2-0, and the Florida Panthers are up 2-0 over the Carolina Hurricanes. I think that we might see 2 sweeps in both these series. I mean, for sure, Vegas is going to sweep Dallas. But I think that the surprise sweep is going to be Florida. I think Florida can do this. I think they can sweep Carolina. I would sprinkle a little tiny bit on Florida tonight. But here's what we're going to do. We're going to take former Kingston Frontenac, Sam Bennett, to get a point. You're laying a little bit of juice on this, okay? You're laying minus 120. It's minus 125 in some books. I bet you can find minus 115 if you shopped around. But that's what we're going to take tonight. A little tiny bit on Florida Panthers to beat the Carolina Hurricanes. But the big bet tonight is big Sam Bennett to get a point, to score a point. Any goal, any assist. Once again, folks, like I said, if you can find a site that lets you do same-game parlays, you should be looking at about 3-1, just greater, just better than 3-1. If you take the Florida Panthers to win the game and parlay it with Sam Bennett to get a point. I mean, you're probably going to get in the neighborhood of 6-1 if you take Sam Bennett to score a goal. I think he is going to score a goal tonight in the Panthers win. But let's play it safe and let's just take Sam Bennett to score a point. We want the Carolina Panthers to win the game. 1 loss out of our last 5, folks. It's not bad. This is where we get back on track. Trust me, guys. And if you're interested, if you think that Vegas, even though I think Florida can do it too, if you think Vegas can sweep right now up 2-0 on Dallas, right now most books are offering 3-1 odds. So you can get 3-1 on the sweep. That's Vegas to win 2 more games straight on the road and sweep the Dallas Stars. I like that too, guys. I would put a little bit on that. Anyway, we also have the Jays tonight. You know what? It's not pints and bats. Let's just forget about the Jays. We'll see what happens after the hockey season ends. I'm probably out of a job by then anyway. 2 more weeks, folks, and the Stanley Cup's done. They kicked me to the curb. Tonight, Sam Bennett to get over a point, minus 120, maybe minus 115, and the Florida Panthers to win the game. That's your pick of the week, folks. Good luck. Enjoy the rest of the semifinals.
The fastest 60 minutes on ice. Pucks and Pints Radio.
There you go, ladies and gentlemen. I have to admit, Jay Vegas is on a roll. He's been doing pretty good.
So we need to average him out between all the beginning of the season he was on fire, the middle of the season he wasn't, and now he's back on a roll.
And rumor has it, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, that Jay Vegas will be joining us live next week.
Hey, we should see if we can get an all live show and see if the Jolitz is available too.
Oh, he doesn't do that. But we do have the Sports Minute coming up shortly. Here we go. There's lots to talk about. We got lots of time.
And it will
You
all
guys
be
ready?
dedicated to you.
What does the future hold? Let's find out inside the crystal ball.
Well, you know what? I'm going to let Bacon start things off.
Well, where do you want to start? You want to start? Well, we'll leave the elephant a little bit longer. Let's go to Calgary. Let's start in Calgary for this week. We got Craig Conroy.
What do you think of that?
Being named as the GM. It makes sense. I mean, he was the assistant GM since 2014.
Yeah.
So, I mean, he knows what's going on. He's kind of got his finger on the pulse. I guess it's only logical to see if he can kind of toe the line and get the team back in shape.
Right the ship.
Yeah.
I'm okay. Here's what I'm curious about. Today I read a thing that said Hellebuyck is going to Buffalo.
I saw that.
Do we now see a Stanley Cup?
Yeah, they said they were interested in him and willing to talk. So
I'm telling you, man, that's the only piece they're missing. And as much as I inherently dislike that team, you put Hellebuyck in that net. Oh my gosh.
But of course, it's all rumors because free agency hasn't begun. Nobody can talk to anybody. So this is all rumors. Nobody's being traded at the moment. It's just rumors. There's a lot of rumors that fly in the offseason. Most of it doesn't come true.
You're right. You're right. Most of the
and it's tough to keep track of too, right? Because you're scrolling through whatever feed you're looking at, whether it's Instagram or Facebook or capfriendly.com or whatever. And I mean, there's just story after story after story about so-and-so wants to do this and so-and-so wants to do that. And, but it's one of those things that, GMs and teams can reach out and ask permission to talk to certain players when the deadline gets to that point.
Yeah.
Right. So they can queue up what they want to do.
Mm-hmm.
Whether or not they actually do it is the other point, right? The other piece of the puzzle.
Right. You can't do it right now.
It's what they'd have to give the Jets, but
yeah, I don't know. You look at Buffalo, and I don't know what they'd want to get rid of, because some of their bigger contracts they got to hang on to because that's their talent.
Yeah.
Right. So I don't know. Maybe they got something stored up. I don't know how they ended with cap room and stuff like that and what they got to play with, but
they have draft picks too.
They'll make it work probably.
They have draft picks, but you're completely right. Everything's a rumor until you see the biggest mistake of all time. John Tavares signed with the Maple Leafs. I was in Chicago at the time. What a frippin' donkey of a contract that is now.
You were utterly excited to get John Tavares.
I was crazy over it.
Yeah, the Islanders fans weren't too happy, but hey.
He still lives rent-free in the Islanders' heads to this day because, like I said last week, don't listen to what players say because John Tavares, that whole leading up to free agency, I want to stay on an Islander. I'm going to be an Islander. I'm going to stay here. I'm going to sign a contract. And then he went and signed with Toronto. So
the Johnny Gaudreau violin.
Yeah.
Hey, I always say to the Islander fans that with that signing, why are you so mad that he went home? He went to play for his hometown team. If he would have signed with the Rangers or the Devils or, anybody within that, the Philadelphia, Pittsburgh, fine. Have at it. But he went home to play with his hometown team. Why would you fault him for that? That never made sense to me.
I guess you get some loyalty. Who's going to coach the Rangers, Big B? That's what we want to know. That's the burning question.
That's the one that I had on my list next. It's the interviews with Babcock and Laviolette. And
so what I'm reading, And again, it's all rumors, and you can never trust Larry Brooks for nothing. But from what I'm reading, they interviewed Laviolette, they interviewed Babcock, they have permission to interview the assistant coach from Toronto. That Laviolette is the favorite, mainly because, surprisingly, Babcock is supposedly very far down the road to coach the Blue Jackets.
Good for him. That's where people go to die.
That is the rumor coming out of
Quenneville.
That's the rumor coming out of Larry Brooks, who, again, you can't trust Larry Brooks because 99% of the things he writes is wrong. But according to him, Babcock and the Columbus Blue Jackets are very far down the road for a coaching agreement. That leaves Peter Laviolette. Everything I'm reading, although Chris Knobloch should get a shot, he's an outside chance. They want a coach with Stanley Cup pedigree, which Laviolette has, coaching superstars, which Laviolette has, and a good X's and O's guy.
How do you feel about that?
I'm okay with that. I don't mind Laviolette. He's a good coach. He's
like Gerard Gallant.
He's been a good coach.
Not be linked to Toronto because I'll lose my. I swear to God, I'll never watch hockey again. I'll cancel this show. I will never watch hockey again if Gerard Gallant comes to Toronto.
Remember what I just said. People say things all the time that aren't true. That's one of them. If Gerard Gallant went to the Maple Leafs and they got to first place, you would be the biggest Gerard Gallant fan on the planet.
Oh no, I will not. I've watched him play in Detroit. I've watched him coach his entire career. He's another one of these guys that gets that gets to the show and never drives the horse home. I no use for Gerard Gallant whatsoever as a player or a coach.
Another name to throw out real quick for the Rangers search. They've been linked to Jay Leach, the assistant over in Seattle, who's apparently a very popular name these days in coaching vacancies. But I think as it stands right now, all signs point to Laviolette. Of course, that could change tomorrow. But
I pray to God that Rod Brindamore gets fired.
He's not going to get fired.
Oh, yeah, I don't see him going anywhere anytime soon. Even if the Canes don't get to this, he is the best thing that has happened to that team.
Right. He's won a Stanley Cup with that team.
Yeah.
As a player, he's coached that team.
He's gold. I love him.
Yeah, he's absolutely not going anywhere. He's not leaving Carolina.
Don't move. I love Brindamore.
He's not.
He's a player's coach.
That's what I was going to say. It's funny that you look at some teams, right? You watch them play, you watch the coaches, you watch everything about the organization, right? You don't see the GMs a whole lot, but you see the coaches, in between challenges and on the bench and when they're coaching and this and that. And I'm going to use Edmonton as an example I can't even think of his name. The guy, I look at him and I think it's a shampoo commercial when I see the coach. It looks like doesn't look like a hockey coach at all.
Moron. Yeah, he's a moron. Yeah.
So you look at him and you go, man, I don't know that the players really respect this guy. Like, he's here as the coach, but it seems to me like the players maybe just kind of go, yeah, okay, cool, coach, whatever. And then it just, stuff happens. But you look at Brindamore and you go, yeah, you don't want to mess with that guy. Like, he tells you to do something, you do it. And it works.
I don't necessarily believe that is his message. They know he's won a cup. They know he's won awards. How the guy is not in the Hall of Fame already as a player, maybe he will be as a coach. But what I hear, what I listen to is it doesn't matter who goes down. Someone slots in. You play the system, and you go. And obviously, it's not working against Florida, but I really respect this team. I really respect that guy. You could give him any player in the league, and he'll plug him in and love him. Absolutely love him to death. Him and the guy in St. Louis, the two favorite coaches, Berube.
They're a team that could benefit from a player like Hellebuck. If they improve their goaltending, they could be Stanley Cup contenders.
Unstoppable.
Yeah, Carolina has been fun to watch just from the fact that with the amount of adversity that team has gone through, the amount of injuries and just shakeups and players getting hurt on and off, goaltending issues, they still seem to win.
Because he plays a system. Okay. So and I'm honestly starting to believe that Vegas does the same thing. No matter where you're slotted, you have a job. No matter how much you make, no matter where you come from, this is the way we play in Carolina, and I'm starting to believe Vegas is the exact same way.
Yep. This is your job. You're expected to do this job and this job only. Let the other guy do his job, and everything comes together. You're
not the 60-goal scorer or the multi-million-dollar giveaway man in New York. You play the system. This leads me to my next conversation.
Go ahead.
Okay,
let's roll. The thunder rolled across the hockey community, and we saw Brendan Shanahan spill water on himself. He was shaking. He was tremoring. I mean, this is a guy that worked for him for 9 years and was his protege. They decided to move on from Dubas. Good call.
You're happy about that?
I'm very much at peace with that call, because I'll tell you why, Big B. Even and I'm unemployed and I don't have any offers on the table and no one's knocking at my door. But when we coach this game, we largely concentrate on trying to improve players' abilities and whatnot. But the parents, the kids, the coaches, if you ask them honestly, they want to win. Dubas can't win. Can't do it. Too loyal to the guy on the bench. He's got to go. I'm telling you right now, you have till the end of this month until the no trade clauses come in. And again, everyone's crying. Nylander's got to go. Nylander's got to go. No. Marner for Bo Byram in Colorado makes the most sense. You got a good, solid defenseman for the next, 8 years. Marner's got to go. He's overrated. I've been telling you this since the beginning of time. But before you trade him, you better sign Matthews. And you better give him whatever dollar amount he wants. Then, with Marner's contract gone, or Nylander, if he's your sacrificial lamb, if he's the guy you really don't believe in, even though I think I've seen him more play big time than Marner any day, you have some cap space. Would I like Tavares to go? Absolutely. There's another 10 million. Could you? But I'm watching the playoffs, guys, and I'll shut up in 30 seconds. I'm watching Florida, who did nothing. I'm watching Carolina, who basically did nothing. I'm watching the Stars. I'm watching Vegas. You need some horses to win a Stanley Cup. Not 4 guys. As far as I'm concerned, the core 4, I'll smash my head off the wall right now hearing about the core 4. They're not doing it. We need to shed 2 contracts. 2, Bacon. And I would even consider signing Bunting if we could shed 2. What do you think? Or is he frozen?
So that was pretty good. That was 3.5 minutes. You came in pretty good. I got a stopwatch running here. I thought it was going to go longer than that. So
I could go all night if you let me.
So let's I'll go back to the beginning. So Dubas obviously out. I'm indifferent to it. He could have stayed. He could have went. I think the bigger issue is the coach. Coach has got to go.
Would never go if Dubas was still there.
No, and that's the thing, right? So you got Dubas out, and then Spezza announced his resignation, which maybe he's loyal. So
hey, listen, Bacon, between me and the gatepost, before you go any further, who is Spezza? Oh,
what?
I'm walking out the door. I'm friggin' Bobby Orr. I've changed the whole franchise. Yeah, I'm worried about who's gonna stay and who's gonna go. God bless you. There's the door. Let's play some hockey.
Right, and that's the thing with Spezza, right? I think he had an obligation to resign because Dubas gave him a job when most other organizations would have kind of said, "Okay, cool, you're going to retire and you're not going to play anymore. Bye. Like, thanks for your support. You can help out somewhere, but we're not going to make you an assistant to the GM or special assistant to the GM." There's rumors out there that that Dubas is possibly looking to wait to talk to the Pens and the Senators. Again, back to the rumor mill. Whether or not it's true or not.
See you later, alligator.
Contracts. So that's the interesting one, right? The immediate thing that Elliot Friedman put out right after Dubas was gone, after talking to some of the players saying, "Hey, how do you feel about, what happened and this and that," was a lot of guys were saying, "Well, we don't know what's going to happen with this Matthews contract now. Like, they have to lock him down ASAP. Regardless of who's in charge, they have to lock him down. And like you said, they have to say, listen, cool, man, you want $14 million a year? Done.
You got it.
Whatever you want, sir, we will give you at this point." And then they need to look at those contracts. My thought, though, I agree. Of those 4, maybe even the top 5 guys, 2 of those contracts have to disappear. The catch for me is I'd like to see Marner stay. He did more offense. I know you hate him. I know you it's just a constant battle. He did more offensively than anyone else in that core 4 in the playoffs. He did more offensively and defensively. He showed up more than guys making more than him. Right?
And every time he gave the puck away,
well,
you could care less.
Yeah, it negates itself, right? Like, for every 2 good things you do.
Himself. He's a diminutive 185-pound forward who can't play in the Stanley Cup playoffs. We don't need him.
Okay. Well, so of those 4, let's say Marner goes and they sign Matthews. So now you've got Tavares and Nylander.
I know you want Nylander gone. I can't imagine it in all my life if you watch that man play hockey.
Yeah, I don't think his contract was good to begin with. Like, that whole contract, what was it, 5 or 6 years ago now, 5 years ago, when he just sat down and said, "Well, I'm not playing unless I get this much money." And then he just sat, and finally they caved and said, "Okay, fine, we'll pay you." And then he came back and did nothing. Right? He's been getting better, and he's had a great season. He's, this is probably one of his best seasons this last season gone by. But again, I still don't see the value.
So what you're telling
But I don't see the value in Tavares either.
So what you're telling me is when Marner's dad told us that he was as good as Austin Matthews, and we signed him for $10.5 million or whatever he signed for. He's a Johnny Gaudreau. He's a soft player. We don't need him. We need contract space. Get rid of Marner, ladies and gentlemen.
Well, and that's the issue. They do need contract space. They need cap space badly in order to put some more pieces into this puzzle, right? And when you've got your top four taking up $39 million, that's a problem.
Even Panarin and Kane would make an excellent line postseason.
I want to throw out a wild scenario for you guys. That'll never come true, but I want to hear your thoughts on it. Toronto, at this point, they kind of need to do at least a little bit of rebuilding, right? Out of the core four, Austin Matthews is the one that's going to get you a lot. If Chicago proposed Austin Matthews for number one pick, which is Connor Bedard,
sold.
That's what I was going to say. Would you go for it?
Hell yeah.
I would assume they would add in additional picks, like, maybe a second rounder or something to that effect.
Yep.
So there was a young man in Arizona who decided to go back to Minnesota. What's his name? What was it? He was the number 2 pick overall.
You talking about Clayton Keller?
No, Clayton Keller's still in Arizona.
Oh, he's still there, right? So,
but who's the dude that just went back to college?
not Fantilli.
Cozy. Cozy, or
I don't know.
Anyway, you take the kid from the University of Michigan, you take Clayton Keller, and you give him Austin Matthews and a first-round pick, and I'm happy.
To Arizona?
Burner.
To Arizona? What I'm asking you is, if Chicago comes to you and says, number one pick, which is Connor Bedard, Austin Matthews, would you do it?
No, that's another small little piece of crap.
At half the price to start, though.
Right.
No.
You have all this cap room.
Oh, Bedard's not going to demand $14 million coming out of the gate, because then Chicago's going to look at him and go, enjoy the OHL.
Right, of course not. So
the WHL.
You get the number one overall
muscle
pick,
and you need strength. Is anybody watching the playoffs right now besides me? There are no small men doing anything.
No, you're absolutely right. It's a slugfest.
You can go get Ryan Reeves.
I can't
He's
remember
on the trading block. Heard Chicago's interested to protect Bedard.
No, I hang on.
But while you look that up, you're looking at the court, like, you're not going to get a lot for Nylander, Marner. Although, again, another thing that I read, which was completely stupid, the Rangers should trade Panarin for Marner, which is the dumbest.
Cooley is his name. Cooley.
Oh, Logan Cooley.
So Cooley and Keller for Matthews, guaranteed. Marner for Bo Byram, I'm in. And you sign Ryan O'Reilly for 3 years over 5.
Yeah, and again, he's another one that came out and said, "Look, I'm not sure what's going to happen yet, and I haven't made a decision if I'm going to stay or go out in free agency or what the deal is." So
these guys they got.
No,
we're talking too much about the Leafs. I don't want to do it, but Akari, Riley, Sam Lafferty, Jake McCabe, Luke Shen, another one. Sign them.
Yeah.
Talking too much about the Leafs. Who is the breakout team next year? I really do think it's Buffalo.
Yeah.
Breakout team next year. Jeez.
I was gonna. They've got all the makings to do it, aside from a goaltender at this point.
If I don't change the subject, Big D, I'm going to go insane. I really think Buffalo. I think if they can get a goalie of some sort, even if it might be Samsonov might be available. You never know.
You don't want Samsonov to go.
Well,
We got Wall,
Then
baby.
you can have that Wall.
Hey, I'd be honest, he played way better than
he did play. He
expected.
played better. He's a better number 2 than Matt Murray for sure. But I don't
Yes.
think you want Samsonov leaving right this second.
No, I don't think so either. Maybe, I don't know. It's
give
I
me
don't know.
credit, ladies and gentlemen. I tried to take the attention away from the Toronto Maple Leafs, but these guys brought it right back. You buy Murray and you suffer the pain. You get rid of these contracts and you build a team that can actually play hockey.
But let's be realistic. You're not going to get a lot for the other 3. You're going to get a hell of a lot.
I think you get a lot for Marner. I think Marner, Bo Byram would be a great trade.
Well, yeah, Marner's at 10.5 right now, 10.6 or something. So you're going to get at least 10, right? You're not going to get less than that.
And you've got, what are we right now? May 22nd. You've got 9 days until he has his no trade clause. And you know that little bitch ain't going to go anywhere.
But what are you going to get in return? I mean, you're saying Bo Byram.
Bo Byram, I'm good with that.
What are you going to get in return for Tavares and Nylander?
Well, Tavares, you just say,
not a lot.
Give me Kevin Hayes and
maybe you get a couple picks. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know.
Stop with the Nylander stuff. He needs to stay. He's the core. Him and Matthews.
Again, I'm indifferent to whether he goes or stays. I just don't think he's worth the money we're paying him.
Oh, you're crazy. He's your big highlight, your big game guy. Not Marner with, I think I'm going to flip it over here. Maybe someone will shoot it.
Let me switch gears and ask you a question. I got another question for you. Going into next season, team already has a new GM, not the Maple Leafs. This team already has a new GM. They're searching for a new coach. If their goalie goes back to Vezina form, can the Calgary Flames contend next season?
Yes. I've said this since the beginning of the year to you guys. Calgary and Winnipeg are 2 places that have a problem with their culture.
Mm.
They've got a very good team, and I like Markstrom, and I think the team in front of them is good. What the message is in the room confuses me. Good team. I think they're a very good team. I picked them the beginning of the year to do very well. Yes, I stick with him. Bacon knows goalies more than I do, but
yeah, I think they could make a decent show of it if Markstrom can come back and backstop that team.
Right.
The biggest issue they ran into this year, other than some growing pains with getting Huberdeau and some of those trades they made, you can't win if your team has a goals against average of higher than 5 per game.
right.
Like across the entire season. Like they had a few really good games, but then they had a few really bad games, and that skews your stat a little bit.
But
so you need a goalie.
They fired the farmer now. The farmer's gone.
Yep.
Okay, hard-nosed Mr. Who do you bring in? I don't know. Boudreaux, Babcock, who knows? Dave's out there like crazy.
See, that's the problem with Calgary, right? Who fits into that market? Like, I don't see Babcock in that market. I don't see, like, say Quinville gets the okay to come back and interview, and I don't see him in that market. Like, there's a specific, like you said, Winnipeg, Calgary, even Vancouver to a certain extent. There's a market there that you can't just throw a guy into and expect it to work. I don't know. I don't know who fits into that picture yet.
A lot of people really like Rick Tocchet over in Vancouver.
Yeah. I don't.
I'm gonna throw a name. I'm gonna throw a name out there.
Mm.
Well, if I could choose anyone behind the bench of the Toronto Maple Leafs, and you guys will laugh at me, as I would choose DJ Smith. However, what about Dallas Eakins? Let go by Anaheim. Players love him.
Do you think he could coach a superstar team like Austin Matthews, and if they keep John Tavares?
I don't know.
It takes a different breed of coach to handle big time superstars.
So is he Quenneville? I don't know. He's talking to Batman apparently to apologize.
Would you really want Quenneville and all the baggage that comes with him to coach your team?
He's a Stanley Cup champion.
I understand. He's a great coach, and he was rumored on the Rangers too at the very beginning. But because of what happened, and because of his role in what happened, there's a lot of baggage that comes with him. On the ice, X's and O's, he's a great coach, no doubt about it. Do you want that off the ice baggage to go along with it? That's the big question for anybody that wants to sign Quenneville. Do you want that in Toronto?
Is the off the ice baggage still there, though? I mean, we know it's there, but is it there?
In this culture of, everybody's offended by everything, and, you do one thing wrong, you're crucified for life. Yes, it's still there.
So then I guess with that argument, is the Patrick Kane baggage still there?
Okay. So here's the when it comes to me, I'm as old school comes. I said this earlier in the show. Yeah, cancel culture, yicky dee doo, don't say a word to anybody. The end game is to win.
Mm-hmm.
I would take Quenneville. End game.
Right. The end game is to win, obviously. But your team, at least for the first half of the season, if he was hired, would be answering questions on a daily basis about him, the incident that happened, how he's handling the locker room now, every step of what he does on a daily basis. Austin Matthews would have to sit there and answer those questions.
As long as Mitch Marner is not in the room, I'm quite sure there would not be any problems with the boys.
Oh,
God. I hesitate to ask, are you implying there may be some qualities about a certain number 16 that may spur some ill?
Very pretty. You gotta admit. He is very, very pretty.
And this is his love-hate relationship with me.
He may or may not be better looking than my wife. I'm not sure.
You better watch out, Melissa.
Oh, boy.
Well, at least you know if he cheats, you know where he's going.
Yes, exactly. 100%.
So again, trying to leave the Leafs.
We've been trying all night. Big B's the one that keeps fishing.
Let's go across.
I took us to Calgary.
Completely across the country. Arizona now has no home.
Nowhere. Kansas City.
Nowhere. Okay. And coming along with Arizona not having a home, I found it interesting, and I got a humorous laugh this week of Clayton Keller's dad coming out and quote unquote saying he will not play in Arizona again. This is terrible. He will not be returning. And then 2 days later, oh, my Twitter was hacked. And I didn't say that. Yeah, bull crap, you didn't say it. Like,
I wouldn't play there though either.
So here's the latest that I've read on Arizona. One, they'll be playing back at Mullet next season.
Yep,
they're under contract for 3 seasons. They'll definitely be back there next season. There is a a piece of land in Mesa, Arizona, which currently has this giant shopping mall that
the old mall or whatever, right?
Yeah, it's been deemed to be torn down. So they are looking at that as an option. Another option that I read that I don't know if they're actually looking at, but was to do something with the Phoenix Suns, where they would share an arena, much like the Rangers do with the Knicks at MSG. That's something
Toronto and
yeah, a lot of teams do it between hockey and basketball. I don't know if the Phoenix Suns owner would be into that, but that's another thing I've heard, thrown across the table. I don't know how true it is or not, but I do believe that the Mesa location is their next option.
So
interestingly enough,
they're going to stay in Arizona.
For right now, they're staying in Arizona, and from what I read, the Mesa area, again, you can take this with a grain of salt, but it's supposedly where the bulk of the Arizona Coyote fans reside. How they figured that out, I don't know.
All 3,000 of them?
How far? Because that's the other thing, right? Like, you'll remember Bacon when the Pistons played in Auburn Hills. I wasn't a big basketball guy, but like you were like a hour drive.
Oh yeah, middle of nowhere. Yeah.
So convenience is everything.
Yeah. So we'll have to see, but for sure they're playing in Mullet next season. And
yeah,
we don't know.
The interesting thing that I heard the same thing about the Phoenix Suns proposal, and the only thing that works really well for that is basketball and hockey seasons pretty well run simultaneously.
Mm-hmm.
So any construction you have to do, you can start the minute the Phoenix Suns get eliminated for being in the playoffs, which is usually about 3/4 of the way through the season.
Yep.
And then start work on putting in the arena floor and then the removable basketball floor and whatever else. But I mean, I think it's cool they want to stay in Arizona. I don't know if it happens.
That's the big thing. And there was a whole, I mean, the vote in Tempe, from what I understand, was not because the town didn't want, the people didn't want it. It was a very hugely political issue, having a lot to center around the airport and the traffic and this and that. So there was a lot of sway in their airport. Whoever is the spokesman, the head of the airport, they had a lot of sway in that. So it was a very political vote, from what I read.
I'd be curious to know the average age of the resident in Tempe, because I think that possibly had something to do with it.
Well, you got to look at it. The Diamondbacks play in Tempe. They play in Tempe right now for ASU. That's where Mullet Arena is. It's in Tempe. So it's it's a sports town.
I want to see Bacon wear a Suns jersey on the show.
Hey, if anybody listening wants to send me a Suns jersey, I'll wear it.
By the way, Bacon, since they are playing in that stupid arena next year, you and I should hook up and do a trip.
That would be pretty cool, actually, and I bet you it wouldn't be a very expensive trip either. Cheap flight to Arizona, and then probably a $25 ticket to go see the game, and then probably spend more on beer and hot dogs than the tickets.
All right, we'll work on that, ladies and gentlemen. Bacon and I to Tempe. And my boy's going to want to go, and I'm sure your boys are going to want to go, which means that's a bigger trip.
Yeah,
the women can go drink wine and paint.
Yeah, I agree.
But we're going to end up, it won't be me and you. If you and I do this, we're going to have the boys with us. But
we find a way to do a live show and the three of us go. We leave the kids at home.
I'm down to head to Arizona.
My son would
pick up Jolitz, and he can do a live segment while we're there.
There you go.
Speaking of, I think we should get over to Mike before we talk anymore. And I'm trying to think if there's any more teams I wanted to get to. I'm sure there was, but let's go over to Mike Jolitz and his Sports Minute, folks.
Now it's time for Sports Minute with Mike Jollitz.
Hello, Pucks and Pints. How are you guys doing tonight? Hello to Coach K, Big B, and hello to you, Bacon, as well. Today is May the 22nd. It is now time, the Sports Minute. In NBA news, the Lakers are one loss from getting bounced from the playoffs. They're playing the Nuggets right now, and the Heat is one win away from bouncing the Celtics to go to the NBA Finals. Yeah. The Brewers played the Rays on Sunday. It looked like they were going to choke and lose the game, but hey, they didn't. Boston sucked yesterday. Jesus. Kyle Larson won the NASCAR All-Star race last weekend. Bubba Wallace took second, and Tyler Reddick took third. Kyle led the whole race. And finally, in the news, there is less than 3.5 months away from regular season NFL football. Yay! Yay. All right, I guess if this does it for Mike's Sports Minute. I'll be back next week, guys. You guys take care. Choose out on feeder saying later. Bye-bye.
The one and only Mike Jollitz, ladies and gentlemen. All right, I'm going to throw a couple of questions out to you guys, and we'll have a little rapid fire for the last little bit. First one I have is who's going to end up owning the Ottawa Senators?
Snoop. He's the only one. Like after Ryan Reynolds withdrew, Snoop is the only other part of a ownership team that I know is bidding on them. I don't know anybody else. So
yeah, I had that on my list for last week, and we never got to it. That Ryan Reynolds pulled out, and his group kind of disappeared. So yeah, I mean, Snoop already calls games in LA. He does some play-by-play now and then. He does some color commentary. So I think he's got an in there already, and he's got a good proposal that he wants to grow the game in LA, in the areas that kids can't afford to play. So this is a perfect way to do it.
Yep.
Yeah, him and that 81-year-old that's on the cover of Sports Illustrated, Martha Stewart. They could be blowing darts up in section 191 in Ottawa.
She looked good though, didn't she? Hey, come on. For 81 years old, being in prison, she looked pretty good.
And she makes good cupcakes.
Apparently.
She makes good cupcakes.
Anyway, so Snoop, it'll give me every more reason to hate that team.
Do we know any other?
Not just because they have one of the Chuck brothers.
Do we know of any other ownership team that is bidding on them? I haven't heard of anybody.
Apparently, the bidding closed apparently last Monday. We've heard nothing.
Okay.
Yeah, I wonder if they have to make sure that they can secure finances and prove that it's legit and all that kind of stuff. But aside from the Snoop factor, he's a fabulous businessman, right? He is just
he's a World Wrestling Federation superstar.
I think he's got what it takes.
He's cooked on wacko tobacco constantly. I don't know. Whatever.
If he's going to help the game and grow the game,
it's a brand new world. What do I know?
If he's going to grow the game and help the game and really throw his all into the Ottawa Senators, why not?
Yeah, let's go.
It's not going to hurt anything.
Snoop, there it is.
Snoop, there it is.
Yeah.
So yes, he's the only one I know. I know it has to now once they guarantee all the like Bacon said, once they guarantee all the financing and all of this, then it has to go to a vote for the rest of the owners and all of this. So there's still steps involved. We're not going to find out the new owner for probably in the middle of the off season.
How do you guys feel about the new culture in Philadelphia? So they hired an announcer as their president of hockey operations, and they gave blessings to Briere. No comment of his son, who's now going before a trial. But how do you feel about that? Philadelphia, the Flyers.
At least Daniel Briere was a player. I don't know who that president, the broadcaster president is. I have no idea who that is.
He was
neither do I.
Dude, I don't know.
He was an ESPN dude. Well, let me draw comparisons then to a different sport. When my Las Vegas Raiders hired Mike Mayock, who is an NFL draft analyst, as the GM, that worked out terribly.
Yes.
In the 5 seasons that he's there.
I don't want to go back to the Leafs, but you know what would be the most perfect ending of all of this? Is
Joe Bowen is GM.
PK Subban as their general manager.
Good old Slewfoot Subban. Good for him.
Yeah, Philadelphia is it's a loyal town. Like, you look at their football team, you look at their hockey team, it's a rough bruiser. Like I said a couple weeks ago, you think of Philly, you think of blue collar, just beat the hell out of you type town.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe there's something to this guy. I don't know. I don't know how long he's been with the organization. I don't know like how long he's been a Philly guy, who he knows, but I don't know, man. You got to have a really, really thick skin to be in that town and be in a job like that.
You know what I really liked is they blessed Torts. Torts is our guy.
Yeah.
How do you think that relationship goes long term? Torts and Briere.
I don't know Briere.
You know him from his playing days. Torts is a very brash person that doesn't take any crap from anybody and wears out his welcome fairly quickly wherever he goes. I don't know how that's going to work with Briere. Briere seems very quiet kind of person. I don't see him kind of forcing his will on Tortorella as far as player movements. I don't know, just me.
But, and I may get this wrong, but the general manager, as far as I understand, is the guy that's in charge of assembling the troops. In my day, it was up to the coach on how we deployed them.
But nowadays, the GM and the coach work together and kind of making the trades and making the free agent signings and all of that, because they want to fit scheme and who fits in with the locker room, what needs do you have, who can you coach, who do you get along with, things like that. So GM and coach kind of work hand in hand nowadays.
All right, Bacon. Who's going to sub the bench in Anaheim?
Oh, geez. I don't know. I could see Babcock out there.
That's a good young team.
Yeah, it is. And I think he would do well with a young team where guys aren't gonna push back a whole lot. Like, I don't know. I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of guys that are unemployed. There's a lot of guys, in these AHL organizations that are just waiting for their turn to come up. They've got a real young team with a lot of promise. So maybe a Babcock, maybe like you said, the guy in Seattle, Jay Leach, maybe. The interesting part about him though is Seattle's kind of got a good thing going. They, get to where they got in second year. So
where's Anaheim on the draft? We got 1 minute, but
they're second, right?
Second.
Or are they?
Yep.
Yeah. So you have to assume they're going to take Adam Fantilli.
So they're going to have a good team.
And you put Fantilli with Zegras. I mean, that's a pretty good combination. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I don't know.
10 seconds, guys. Would anyone hire Hitchcock again?
I haven't heard him up for any open job.
All
No,
right.
neither have I.
All right,
I don't.
kids.
I don't think so.
We'll see you next week. Jay Vegas may or may not be live. Keep your eye on the game. It's going to start momentarily. Could be a Florida sweep. I can't believe it. Anyway, away we go.
Thank you to all the listeners on our affiliate stations. To find out more, check out Pucks and Pints Radio on Facebook and Twitter.
Thanks for listening. We hope you enjoyed the show. Subscribe to our YouTube channel now and make sure you never miss another upload.
This is Pucks and Pints.